OK, let's return to that story we told you about earlier.
Why would you ask for my details?
Just so I can check and make sure you can be here.
I'm in my city.
You've already said you've been arrested once.
Sorry?
You've already told me you've been arrested.
No, I haven't.
No,
I said other people have been arrested.
Okay. Well, now we've made that clear. I want to make sure you didn't have bail conditions not to be. So just confirm.
Why
you're
are you
not going to
asking
give
for
me
my
your details.
I was holding up a blank sign. Okay. Why are you asking for my details?
You said you're going to write stuff on it that may offend people.
I said I was going to write "Not my king" on a sign, and you asked for my details.
It may offend someone.
Who's that going to offend?
I don't know. Someone may
not
be
my king. Someone might be offended.
Are you going to listen, or are you just going to talk over me? Is that what you plan to do? Just talk over me continuously?
Go ahead.
No? Thank you. All right. I'll give you some advice.
OK, so that was an exchange between a man wanting to stage a protest about Charles's succession and a police officer.
That man is in the studio with us, Paul Powersland. Thank you very much for coming in, Paul. We should say that you're a lawyer, so a barrister. You know this area quite well. Give us an idea, first of all. We saw the sort of phone footage there. What happened to you?
So after seeing the footage of a lady with a "Not My King" sign being led away and hearing about protesters being arrested for, really lawful, peaceful freedom of speech, I decided to go down and stage a protest, really about freedom of expression at this time. I didn't want to risk being arrested myself because I had a court case this morning that I couldn't miss, and I didn't want to let my client down. So I had a blank sign and I wandered around for a bit and then had that sort of interaction with the police officer that you see there. Just to be clear, I don't think, even if I had written "Not My King" on there, that would be a criminal offence. I think if it went to trial, I would get found not guilty. But the key thing is there's a chilling effect on people's right to freedom of expression there. And I think that needs to be heavily resisted at this time.
What about your safety? So we saw some people protesting in Scotland, and it was the people around them that actually responded quite angrily to that. Would you be worried about people maybe not being up, even though you're holding a blank piece of paper, just the fact that it looks like you're protesting?
No, so I think it depends on the context. And obviously that context we saw with the Prince Andrew comment was where the protester was at the funeral march with the coffin there. And I personally wouldn't choose to protest at a site where there was a coffin, or even outside Buckingham Palace at the moment where people are grieving. But Parliament at the moment...
So you do think then there are maybe there's places that you shouldn't protest?
So I think legally you are free to protest there, but personally I would choose at the moment to not go somewhere where people are grieving. And outside Parliament there was no one grieving, there's no flowers, it was purely some tourists wandering around, and no one was offended, I don't think.
We have some really interesting comments coming in from our viewers tonight. I'm sure you're well aware what some people have said about it. Can I ask you, before we go to some of those, were you just there causing mischief? Were you trying to antagonise a police officer into getting that response? How do you answer that?
I wasn't there to antagonise, but I would say that the rights that we hold dear, whether freedom of expression or the right to vote or the freedom of assembly, have all been throughout the centuries both obtained and maintained by people that other people would see as quite difficult, and people going out there to uphold those rights. And actually it's been a really positive story in some ways, because by going out and doing that there was a huge public backlash, a big media furore, and the Met Police put out a statement saying we are not going to interfere with freedom of speech. So actually tonight I'm going to go back there with a "Not My King" sign to confirm that's the case. I don't think I'll be arrested given the context. And now everybody knows and everyone's clear that actually you can peacefully express opinions about the monarchy at this time. And that's important, I think.
OK, so I haven't been rude with Paul. I've been going through the messages. We're getting quite a lot of messages. Yeah. And it's so interesting, which is why I'm reading them, because I assumed that people would be outright quite angry with you. And to be honest with you, it's a mixture. I'm not saying people aren't angry with you, but it's a mixture. Daniel from Liverpool says, I think it's disrespectful of protesting against the monarch because they are our leader and deserve respect. No matter your views, this person didn't give their name, no matter your views, respect the Queen and protest afterwards. How would you like it if your mother was being buried and someone she upset at some point stands at the crematorium and with a sign or starts shouting? That's an interesting point.
Do you want me to come back in any of these?
OK, go on, come back.
Yeah, there's a few things there. I mean, firstly, the funeral's not happening now, but also the difference is at my own mother's funeral, I wouldn't be proclaiming myself king, which is a political act, and that's what Charles is doing. I understand that the accession has to happen straight away, legally, constitutionally, but there was nothing to stop Charles just saying, I'm king last Thursday, and then leaving it at that until after this mourning period. He has been going around making speeches, declaring himself our sovereign, having even trumpeteers going around to all the different town halls around the country saying, you're sovereign the king. He is doing a political act, and therefore I think people should be able to have a political response.
Really quickly, if somebody was protesting outside during the funeral, outside the church, should they be arrested then?
I mean, that's a slightly legal question. It depends on what they were holding up. If they were holding up a banner, I don't think legally that would be a criminal offence. I wouldn't choose to do that form of protest. It's not something I'm interested in doing. But also, it's probably not a criminal offence, and that's really what we've got to uphold at this time, isn't it?
Paul, really appreciate your time. Thank you. I know you're going back now to hold up your sign.
Hopefully I won't get
Test
arrested.
the police powers again. Thank you very much for coming in and talking to us about that.